Hello, I'm Ryan, and this is How We Build Lakes. In this video, we're going to go over specifically the plan and proposal and what goes into actually taking that on-site data, processing it through the office, and getting you that final proposal that you're ready to go through with. The design process lets us to really be creative and map out with you the best way to go and build this pond in the best shape for your specific scenario. A large part of the design process is taking the client's wants and needs in one hand and balancing that with the actual physical limitations of the site in another hand and finding the perfect balance between those two. Let's take bass fishing for instance. Depending on the geological location, we're gonna have a standard depth that's a minimum and a standard maximum depth to perfectly grow those fish. Now, the design software allows us to map that out and tell us exactly how much earth is required to move to get those exact depths. It's also going to show us roughly where do we need to add structure, where do we need to add cliffs. We can take all that designed information and put it right into a piece of equipment with GPS and excavate that and carve it into the earth exactly to spec. Once we have the LiDAR data, the very first thing is processing that into an actual format that our AutoCAD softwares are able to read. So there's a software we're able to use immediately to essentially take that survey, and the LiDAR pretty much creates a point cloud, so every single survey point is assigned a color. And it's assigned an elevation and a geolocation, so it maps out and creates a perfect 3D model of exactly what that property looks like. And then from there in that software, we can measure all throughout in that software to figure out, okay, what's the distance from A to B? What's the elevation from A to B? How does everything change and what all does everything look like? Almost as if you were there in real time, but you can fly around and see everything now. Whenever it comes to most ponds and lakes, we're really worried about the runoff feeding them. Obviously, we need to make sure it stays full. We need to make sure it's getting enough water to feed it. So one big piece of the design aspect, whether it's a repair or a construction, is taking into account the local rainfall and the weather history for that specific geological location. If we're talking about if a pond is going to fill naturally, we're looking at a few things. The first thing is going to be how much rainfall do we get every year in that area on average. The second thing we're looking for is how much acreage is feeding this land. What is the slope of that acreage? What's the soil type of that acreage? Therefore, we know how much water is going to be feeding into this pond through those natural sources. The next thing we're going to be looking for is how much evaporation is this pond going to be subject to, and what other factors might cause this pond water level to drop down. Some of those might be seepage through just the natural bottom of the pond, or things like irrigation or cattle, or any kind of other source that's pulling water from the pond. And as long as there's a good balance between the water coming in and the water going out, then we know we're good to go for that specific site. Whenever a site comes into play where there just isn't enough runoff to feed a specific pond in that location, we're going to start looking at alternatives, whether that be better ways to keep the water in the pond, such as plastic liners to fix that. We're also going to be looking at how can we get water into the pond, and that might be items such as wells or pumping it from other sources. And from there, start looking at, in let's say a pond constructions instance, where are we kind of eyeballing that a pond might be nice aesthetically, just based off of like, oh, I want to put a house on the hill, so I want a pond over here in this creek that's right underneath the house that the house would overlook. So we know roughly where the pond's at. In the software, we can see roughly how much runoff is feeding it. From there, we're able to see, is there enough runoff based off the land? Or do we at this point need to start thinking about other ways to store the water? The next thing is going to be making sure that we know how deep we're going to have to go to dig the amount of dirt necessary for that dam. Most of the time on a pond construction, we're going to be pulling the dirt out of the middle of the pond and putting it into a dam. So in that software, we're going to see exactly how much earth is required to build that dam, and therefore how deep we're going to need to excavate the middle of the pond. The last thing is shape, and we can get really in-depth about what shape fits the land perfectly and fits your specific scenario perfectly. It's extremely common that we get the request to build a kidney bean shape or build a pond that has a peninsula or a jetty or an island on it, and add in some really fun, interesting shapes to make that pond best fit the lifestyle and the location of the property. So once we have your initial design all finalized up and ready for your review, we'll send it off to you and go back and forth on how we can then adjust that initial design to more so take any other considerations you might have into play and make sure that the design really fits your vision for the property. So once we have a design settled in place and we've come to an agreement on it, whether it's for a repair or a construction project, we're gonna go through and do a video walkthrough, making sure we're both on the exact same page of exactly what's happening on that plan. We wanna make sure that we're translating the different lines on the plan with all the different contours and grades and markups on it mean into normal plain English. Make sure you and our team are both on the exact same page for the project. During this time, we're able to dive into the specific regulations of your project. Now that we understand how much earth we're moving, how tall a dam is, how much water we're impounding, what the specific repairs are, we're a lot more ready to talk about what kind of regulations might be involved in this specific scenario. Now, Bulletproof doesn't do any of the permitting or licensing for you on any projects. Now, because we work in this space every day, we are very well acquainted with what permits are needed during certain phases of a project or what size projects might trigger certain permits. So we can help you through that. We can give you plans and all the information that those permits might need, but we're not going to go and actually apply for those permits for you. And from there, we're able to price out the work exactly to what we had planned and get an exact estimate of how much earth are we moving, how are we moving it, what all is involved in the project. Once we have a design and a price that we both love and we're ready to go on, what we're gonna go through and do is combine those and put it into a contract we're gonna sign on so you can be confident that you're gonna get one specific outcome for one specific price.